This is the Secrets of Slot Car Racing number 3. It's about purchasing or acquiring more slot cars. For many, getting the cars or more cars or their collection is the most interesting part of the hobby. It's really an enormous topic. What I really want to go over here is what's needed for a beginner to have fun in formal races. So there's numerous brands and types of cars made in the last 50 years, and people are still using all sorts of different cars. It's really easy to get carried away accumulating all of these different cars. So I just wanted to give a few insights. Well, the number one secret, I guess we could call it, is faster isn't more fun. The faster the slot car just means you need a bigger track. So I'm not gonna answer what's the fastest car, and I don't really think there is an answer. And also, I'm not going to cover vintage cars. That's a number of topics all on its own. So, but I just want to talk about when you start purchasing different brands of cars, different vintages of cars, you may require additional accessories such as a power supply with variable voltage. That's what the Secret of Slot Car Racing number 2 was about. And if you do start acquiring different cars, make sure you have one batch of evenly matched cars. This helps novices have fun while they're developing their racing skills. You need to be aware that various items you buy may or may not work well together, so it's easy to end up with a fleet of various cars that can't really provide fair racing. So when I race, what I do is I look for the same brand of car and type of chassis. And here's a good example of the current AFX cars. This is the package it comes in. The very bottom in gold, it says, try to get the glare off of it, Mega G Plus. That's the type of chassis the car has. And you may run across some cars that have been in a store for a couple years, just haven't sold. It might not be a Mega G Plus. It might be called a Mega G. And here's a good example. I've got these GT40 cars. These are all AFX cars. And I just recently purchased this one. And this has the Mega G Plus chassis. This car is a couple years old. It's basically the same body, a different paint scheme, but the chassis is different. This is a Mega G chassis, and they're different. So what you want to do when you're racing the cars to race the same chassis, just look at them. Just both of them have 2 traction magnets here, but the motors are different. One's not necessarily better than the other one. It's just different. You'll notice I'm also missing a pickup shoe on this one. So I've got one somewhere. And then also, if you go to a hobby store, they might have AFX cars, and then they also have Auto World. Now, these cars aren't necessarily going to mix well together. Maybe they will, but they are different. They're different brands. The chassis are quite different. This is called a 4-gear, this drag car, because it has, if you take the body off, there's 4 gears on top. Here's another Auto World car. This is called an Extraction. A lot of the components are very similar, but you'll notice the 4 gear is longer. That's why they need the extra gear. But it has 2 traction magnets. This has 1. I've never tried to race these cars together, so they may or may not run well together. Then Auto World also makes these Thunderjet Ultra Gs, and these are similar to the Thunderjets made in the 60s, except they've been changed quite a bit over the 50 years. They've added this traction magnet. So all 3 of these cars are different. They run similar, but if you're going to race them, one car might have an advantage over the other one. In the store, if you're looking at them, here's what they look like. They look pretty similar packaging. I know some of the verbiage is a little different, but up here, this one says 4-gear chassis. And here, in a little bit bigger printing, this one says Thunderjet Ultra G. So just be aware you could be acquiring different types of chassis underneath. And how I sort out, just flip the cars over and look from the bottom. So you really do need to read the packages carefully. Now another thing changing topics just a little bit, is I think the new cars run well enough for beginners to race them competitively against each other in informal races, that modifications aren't needed. So we're not going to discuss making cars better in this video. This is a big part of hobby for many people: modifying the cars, installing higher performance parts, tuning the cars to be faster. Yes, you can make these cars better. It's just for a beginner, that's not really required. So a lot of folks start looking for improvements to the performance of their car when they have an issue with control, and that gets back to our Secrets of Slot Car number 2, where they don't have good control. They really can't modulate the speed properly in different corners, basically. So they're looking for the car to be stuck down better, more traction, whatever. If you have good control, you need less and less sort of help from the car. I'll also mention that all of these products are made in China, so you may run across some sort of quality issue, and you need to go back to the place you purchased it, or these companies have 800 numbers. They're very responsive with customer issues like that. So that's just a really brief overview of what beginners need to have the informal races I talked about in the Secrets of Slot Car Racing number 1. So it's all about having fun, and you need to have cars that can have fair races against each other. So the pitfalls to be aware of: don't expect the various brands, different vintages, types of cars to all work well together. And you may need to purchase a power pack with adjustable voltage like I did, this $30 Auto World power supply. Second item, remember, a beginner doesn't really need to be concerned about modifying or hopping up their cars to have fun racing. And just remember to keep at least one batch of cars that are the same brand and type, so the on-track performance is similar, so the driver makes a difference. So if you've stuck it out this far, thank you very much. Please add any questions or comments you might have.